well, this you'll know this, and you're familiar with this, and the great thing around this is something called pattern interrupts. I love pattern interrupts. So if you catch yourself doing something that you know is destructive or unhealthy, if you find yourself going back to repeat behaviors, one of the ways that you can master your mind around that, and when it comes to these things, is to do a pattern interrupt. I like pattern interrupts that are stupid. I like pattern interrupts that are funny. Rather than, a pattern interrupt is, you're doing something really rotten and you say, oh, you're an idiot, why are you doing that? But it's not particularly empowering. Whereas to say, we use them all the time. A friend of mine, I'll give you an example. Here's a great example of it. A friend of mine and I were hanging out one day, and he said, this is about 20-odd years ago, and he said to me, do you know you're a bit short with that person, you're a bit sharp. And I said, really? I have no idea. I didn't recognize that at all. I said, I don't want to be like that. I'm direct, but I don't want to be nasty. So I said, would you do me a favor? And he said, what? I said, let's have a code. And he says, okay. And it's a pattern interrupt. I'm going to get you to give me a code. And I said, if I'm doing that and I'm unconscious of it, I don't recognize it, I want you to use a code on me. And he says, okay, what code? And I said, we're going to say there's a banana in it.
There's a banana in it.
There's a banana in it, right. Yeah. Nobody else will know what the heck that means. So you're not embarrassing them or me, but it's going to instantly remind me, maybe I'm being a bit harsh here. So he says, yeah, okay, I can do that for you. And as we're agreeing to do this, we're leaving my apartment to go to the dry cleaners across the street. And we go into the dry cleaners, and I take in my bag of laundry, and I'm unloading it to this lady, and I'm saying what I want. And I'm very conscious of being gentler as I'm saying these things. And suddenly, as she's unfolded my last thing and ready to take it in, my friend he's got this Mac on, and he says, oh, maybe I'll get this clean too. So he hands this to her, and he says, could I get this done too? And she says, yes. And he says, oh, great, okay. And she says, when would you like it? And he says, doesn't matter. And she said, when would you like it? He said, it doesn't matter. She said, which day? Tuesday, Thursday? He says, it doesn't matter. I said, just check the pocket. I think you left a banana in it. Great pan interrupt. Nice. He suddenly went, oh, Thursday's good.
Right? Talk about a good pattern interrupt.
Right. Well,
yeah.
I mean, those are the fun ones. It's a fun way to play with it. So what we're talking about here is understanding that you can start breaking the way these synapses fire together, the way that chemistry fires in your brain, so that you stop breaking the addictive behaviors that show up a lot in relationships. Because you'll notice that your worst behaviors are with the people you are most familiar with.
Right.
Yeah. Right? Because we're talking about relationships here.
Yeah.
So that's where they show up. So if you've got good friends and you've got people in your life who love and care about you, developing those things together are a really great way to help you break those patterns.
Yeah.
Because, one of the things is, years ago I gave some advice to a friend of mine who was saying about going out. He said he always blew it when he went out on a date. He said he didn't know what he did, but he just blew it. And so I said, I'll tell you what, this girl you're going to go on a date with doesn't know me from a bar of soap. I'm going to sit next to you on the next table. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to be taking notes, and I'm going to come back after the date, after you've blown it, because he's already preset that he's going to blow it. So he's already decided that. I'm going to help you to figure out what it is. And we came back after, and of course he blew it, and we came back and we looked at the notes, and he said, I don't know what I did. And we walked through what he did. And what he did was he forgot who he was. Now that, for me, is one of the big telltales of what happens for people when they go in the dating scene. You see, we go out, and instead of saying, hi, I'm Bob, how you doing? That might be what we're saying externally. But what we're really saying internally is, hi, who do you need me to be so you like me?
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's the actual message we're really sending. The problem is the other person's going, hi, who do you need me to be in order for you to like me?
Right.
So, in fact, these two people have not met. They actually won't meet for quite some time in a series of dating unless both of them have got clear intention about who they are and clear intention about what it is they want. Because if they've got clear intention about what it is they want and they meet a nice person on a date, but they know that this is not what they want. They say, you know what, this was terrific, thank you, I really enjoyed it, I'd love to be your friend, we can have coffee together, but no thank you, which is what you did.
Right.
So that shows that you have a greater clarity about who you are because you've already started to sort out what it is that you want. So that is part of what makes the difference. He was blowing it because every time he wasn't him. Mm-hmm. And all of his friends and our friends who were women would say, I don't get it. Why don't white girls wouldn't date you? You're a great guy.
You're right.
But he never showed up.
Right.
So that's part of what happens in the dating scene is we don't show up. So as I said, now let's flip that around to being in relationship.
Right.
Being in a relationship, what happens is now we only let them see our worst behavior. So we tend to, in relationships, we take the other person for granted over a longer period of time. We tend to not pay attention to our behavior. We become unconscious, and we let them see the worst of us. So how does that look? You're single, you show up as somebody fake. You're in a long-term relationship, and you only let them see the crappy side of you because you've not bothered to pay attention and be in gratitude for the relationship that you have.
Right. So you really don't show up in either case.
Exactly. So are you there in either place? No, you're not really there in the true sense of who you are. So again, it's interesting because we're going back to the previous podcast. You have to have clear intention, not only about what you want, but about who you are.
Right.
And that's why we talk about in our relationship program, big controversial subject, we talk about in our program, we teach compromise-free relationship.
Compromise-free relationship.
How many of us grew up with this idea that the only way to have a great relationship is you've got to compromise up the yin-yang?
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what compromise does. Compromise leads to resentment. And resentment is relationship cancer. It'll eat it away.
Yeah.
Because compromising is account keeping. Oh, so, I'm going to my mother's. No, I don't like going to your mother's. Well, I want you to come with me. Okay, I'll go, but you owe me one. Right there, compromise, resentment, account keeping.
Yeah.
Next time, I want to go to the game. Oh, I don't want you to go to the game. I want you to stay home with me. Well, I went to your mother's with you, so you got to let me go to the game. What is this? That's not a relationship.
Yeah.
That's a bad negotiation. What we want to do instead of compromising is to cooperate. Now, cooperation is completely different because it becomes a co-promise. Right? We promise together.
Yeah.
So there's no account keeping. I don't keep any accounts with my wife. I can't tell you all the amazing, wonderful things she's done for me as gifts. She couldn't tell you all the amazing, wonderful things I've done for her as gifts. They're not, I did this for you, so you owe me. It's a gift. So if I do it, and I can't let it go, I can't do it. So I have to be able to do it not holding any account at all. So a compromise-free relationship really means that I don't have to give up anything of me. And what happens in these compromised relationships is I got to give a bit of me away, and you got to give a bit of you away, and eventually we'll wear each other down into this sort of mucky ball of something that's supposed to be our relationship, rather than I'm a whole, you're a whole, and what we teach is there's a third entity called the relationship that we both feed into. Very different.
Nice.
Very, very different way to look at relationship. So instead of having less of us, we actually end up with more of us feeding into a separate entity called a relationship.
Yeah.
So co-promising rather than compromising.
That's cool. I've never heard of it put that way before.
No. Yeah,
totally some new material, yeah. Definitely.
It's reminded me of a conversation I had with a friend of mine, and she said that she met this guy on a date. First time she met him, he pulled out $500 and said, "Here." Wanted to give her $500 to stay on the date with him, right? And I thought there's an ultimate compromise. She didn't take the money and didn't have anything more to do with this gentleman. But
why? That's a good decision, or else she may have been saying she was in the wrong business.
Yeah,
that's not an escort, is she?
No, it was just amazing, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's an example of what does it, how much we want to trade ourselves rather than just show up.
Yeah, and it's so much easier if you show up.
Yeah. But people are afraid to show, and it's very simple. I said earlier that people say, instead of saying, "Hi, I'm Bob, how do you do?" we're saying, "Who do you want me to be?" So the reason that people don't show up is because they're afraid that if they did, they'd be rejected. So